What's going on, Jerome's? So there's been a lot of talk about how the Vikings need to draft a cornerback in the 2022 NFL draft, and they certainly could use an infusion of talent there. But what about the other position in the secondary? What about safety? And there is a very nice safety class coming up in this year's draft. I think the Vikings need to partake. If the board breaks right, it's a little bit awkward, but we'll get into why it's a little bit awkward. But yeah, the Vikings' current rooster, of course, Harrison Smith, the legend. He is 33, turns 34 in February, and he does have a $19.215 million cap hit next season. So maybe thinking about succession planning there. Camryn Bynum, I love a lot. Love his versatility. Played great in flashes last year, but also previous regime. So the new regime didn't draft him. They didn't do whatever. I think he certainly still has a role. I think that he probably is going to be a starter this year, but I guess never say never. But either way, he can contribute on this defense, whether it's a safety, whether it's in the slot, whether it's at corner, etc. He can certainly do that. Josh Metellus has been a very strong special teamer, but do you see him as an eventual starter? And Miles Dorn has been on and off the practice squad, so I think the Vikings could and should take a look at some of the depth in this draft class, and there's a lot to like. Well, at the top, Kyle Hamilton, who I think may be the best player in this draft. If he somehow, some way gets to 12, take him. Baby Cam Chancellor, but he can cover. So, I mean, we'll certainly take that. Next up, so these are my rankings, top 10. I mean, they're going to be different than everyone else's, blah, 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 whatever. But Lewis Cine from Georgia, where I feel like he was, ironically, he was not seen enough because of the injury, but racked up and jacked up, defensive MVP in the national title game against Alabama, ran a 4.37 40. He's just an absolute hammer, plays with some reckless abandon. Like, he plays like a 6'2" Bob Sanders. I just absolutely love him. Another guy I love is Jalen Petry, coming out of Baylor, a redshirt senior, 5'11", a $198, All-American Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. You love the versatility. He played that star position in Aranda's defense, so he can be all over the place. He can play single high, he can play split, he can play down the box, he can play slot, he can do whatever, and you love that versatility. Actually, he's a lot like how they used Blake Lynch at Baylor. I just use them all over the place, but Petry being the safety version. Jaquan Brisker out of Penn State. He's a guy where you've seen it in the rankings. He's usually in everyone's top 5. Sometimes he's safety 2. Sometimes he's whatever. But senior, second team, All-American. He's just a tight end eraser. I love the versatility. I think you are going to see a guy like Brisker probably in the second round. And I think that he would be fantastic in the AFC West because you got Darren Waller out there, you got Travis Kelce. So, I mean, just getting him out there. Well, they don't have Noah Fant anymore. But Brisker out there, just matching him up as tight ends. You can run a lot of 3 safety looks where if Brisker makes it to 46 for the Vikings, which I think could be a possibility, that would be fantastic because you could play Harrison, Brisker, and Bynum on the field at the same time as they do have different roles. And they got Daxton Hill out of Michigan, a little bit more of a crossover with Bynum. So if we're drafting Hill to be the replacement for Harrison, I don't really see that, but Daxton Hill is a great SAS safety, and slot, so he can work it there. Then you got Kirby Joseph coming out of Illinois. Now, I'm higher on Kirby Joseph than a lot of people are, but I do love him as a free safety as well as a ball hawk. First team All Big Ten. 5 picks in 2021, just great instincts for the ball. I think that he does remind me of peak Anthony Harris. Now, we say peak, not franchise tag Anthony Harris. We're talking about peak Anthony Harris, who was such a great running mate with Harrison Smith. But again, a little bit more crossover. If you're going to keep Bynum at safety, I think that he is more of a free safety. So you do need to think more of a strong safety hammer type if you still want to play those traditional safety roles, although you can have some crossover. Brian Cook out of Cincy. So now, this would make sense as a pairing with Camryn Bynum. Now, if you can get Cook in the 3rd round, would love to see it later on day 2. But coming in out of Cincinnati, excellent run defender, makes his money in the box. Amari Carter out of Miami would also be fantastic. I think that he's going to be a mid-round pick, 6'2", 220. Just a violent tackler, enforcer, sets the tone, still plays smart, doesn't play with reckless abandon, but he is that guy where offenses are always going to know where he is. And then also you got Reed Blankenship coming out of Middle Tennessee State, redshirt senior. Now, I've liked Blankenship for, the past 3 years when he's been eligible, but he always went back to school. But he's a very solid all-around safety, can play the slot, cover, as well as against the run. I think that he's going to be a mid-day 3 selection, maybe early day 3, somewhere in there. Now, the problem is with some of these picks, So Hamilton should be a top 10 pick. I think Seen, Petry, Brisker, and Hill all have a shot to go in the first round. All of these players besides Hamilton, 12 seems a little bit early, but in the case of a trade down, and then the Vikings potentially moving back into the late teens or even into the 20s, and then taking one of these guys, I think it would make a lot of sense if they are BPA on the board, or somehow, some way, Petry, Brisker, Seen, whatever, gets to 46, or potentially at the top of the second round. Maybe the Vikings want to maneuver. Maybe they want to come up 5-10 picks and make sure they secure their guy. Because, I mean, the Vikings defense, they're only a couple players away, and some of these guys I think do have a lot of staying power and could be plus starters in this league, Pro Bowlers plus. So we'll see what happens there. But I think the Vikings certainly should consider one of these fantastic safeties in this draft. But that's it. Should the Vikings be in on safety, as well as our ad hoc top 10 safety rankings? Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.